There's a well-known statement from the Gemara of Mishnechnes Adar Marbin B'Simcha. The Gemara in Maseches Taanis on Chav Tes Amud Aleph quotes Rav Yehuda, the son of Rav Shmuel, the son of Shilot, Mishmea Rav, in the name of Rav, who says, "Kishem Shemichnechnes Av Mama'atin B'Simcha, Kach Mishnechnes Adar Marbin B'Simcha." That just like when the month of Av comes in, which is in the summer, we decrease our happiness. So too, when the month of Adar comes, aka the month that we're in right now, right before Purim, when that month comes in, we increase our simcha. This is quoted as the halacha by the Magen Avraham in Siman Taf Reish Pei Vav in the beginning of Hilchos Purim in Sifkat and Hey. That once the month of Adar comes in, that we increase our simcha. The Chsam Sofer, if you look up in the Shilos and Shuvas in Orach Chaim Siman Kuf Samech, asks a question: why don't the Rambam, why doesn't the Shulchan Aruch bring this as the halacha that once the month of Adar comes in, then we should increase our simcha? See over there for an interesting answer. See also Eli Rabbah and Siman Taf Reish Pei Hey. Nevertheless, this is quoted as the halacha by the Magen Avraham that once the month of Adar comes in, then we increase our happiness. And the Gemara over there says that Rav Papa says, Hilchach Barnash to Islay Dina Bahadi Nachri. If you have a Jew who has a court case, the Matzei Navshe Ba'adar de Bari Mazli. He should try to flip out of that court case and not go to court. Excuse me, in Adar, he should try to have that court case in Adar, and conversely, in Av, he should try to slip away from that court case. Okay. One question on this Gemara to begin is, why is it that what the basic idea over here means of that you should go into court is obviously not talking about if it's a known court case that you're going to win or you're going to lose, it won't make a difference. It's talking about something in between, and it's not that the happiness will help you win. It's that Adar is a month that has good luck. It's good mazel, so that will help you win the court case. But the question that we have to ask on this Gemara is that I don't understand. What is the connection between decreasing our happiness during the month of Av and increasing our happiness during the month of Adar? What is the connection between the two? So the Meiri on the Gemara in Taanis over there explains that the intention of the Gemara is that just like that we make Brachos and we daven and we thank Hashem for all the good, so then so too we have to thank Hashem for all the bad as well. That's the connection between increasing our happiness during the month of Adar and decreasing our happiness during the month of Av. That there's a connection that we have to thank Hashem regardless if it's good or seemingly bad. However, according to that, the Gemara should have said the good first. It should have said that just like we increase our happiness during the month of Adar, so too we decrease it during Av. We find a similar Gemara in Brachos on Nun Dalem Alf that just like we make a bracha, just like we say a bracha on the good, so too we should say a bracha on the bad. So we see that the Gemara over there mentions the good first before the bad. So why then is this Gemara saying that we just like we decrease our happiness first saying the bad during the month of Av, so then so too we increase it during Adar? Another question is, wait a second, how does decreasing our happiness during the month of Av, how does that help the situation? How does that show that we agree to the bad? On the contrary, that will cause us pain if we're decreasing our happiness, saying that, look, this is bad, whatever Hashem sent. So some explain like this, and this is the idea from the Kuntris Binyone Yemei Chanukah Binyoni Chodesh Adar Uviyemei Purim from Rabbi Karelstein and Siman Aleph on Purim, and he offers a beautiful presentation of this, and he says as follows: the intention of the Gemara over here is just like, excuse me, during the month of Av, not only on Tisha B'Av itself, the 9th of Av, 9 days into Av, should we decrease our happiness. Rather, even from Rosh Chodesh, from 9 days prior to Tisha B'Av, from the beginning of Av itself, should we decrease our happiness. So too, the same applies to Adar. That not only on Purim do we increase our happiness, rather from the beginning of the month, we increase our happiness. In other words, that the main dagish, the main focus and emphasis is that the happiness is during the entire month of Adar. Is there a difference between the Av and Adar? Yes. When it comes to Adar, even after Purim, listen to this tremendous chiddush, big insight over here. Even after Purim, we should still be happy and have increased happiness, like the Stei Chemed says. However, conversely, regarding the month of Av, the Chassam Sofer teaches us Ala Torah and Parshas Masay, based on Yerushalmi at the end of Masechtas Taanis, that after Tisha B'Av there's no more Avelus, there's no more mourning, and therefore we should not decrease our happiness. Surprise, surprise. However, the Chassam Sofer explains that after Tisha B'Av, it's almost like a different month. That's why it's the month of Av is almost like 2 months. What do we call the month of Av? Menachem Av, consoling the month of Av. In other words, part of the month of Av has Avelus attached to it, associated with it, mourning, and the other half is consolation, comfort. Also, the Kedushas Levi, Ala Torah as well, and the Drush Purim and the Lakutim says this as well. He says that the beginning of the month of Av is Oror, and from the 15th of Av and onwards is Baruch. That's why Av is Roshei Tevos. Aleph stands for Arur, which means cursed, and Beis stands for Baruch, which is blessed. However, the month of Adar is a completely different month. It's 1 month, and therefore the whole month we should increase our happiness. So that is basically the idea. The only comparison that's legitimate between the month of Av and Adar is that the decrease or increase of the happiness starts in the beginning of the month. However, we have to ask a question. Based on all that introductory information, we have to ask a question. What is so special about Adar that we should increase our happiness? Isn't it all about the miracle that happened on Purim himself, which was on the 14th of Adar? Doesn't Rashi say that? So therefore, why do we need to increase our happiness from the beginning of the month? What's the explanation over here? So one answer to this is perhaps that is the insight that the miracle teaches us from Purim, that the entire month changed over to a month of happiness, like it says in the Megillah at the end of Megillah's Esther. In other words, the miracle caused the entire month to turn into a time of happiness. The Yerushalmi Mesechus Megillah Perak Alf Halacha Aleph quotes Rabbi Nosson, who says, "Kol hachodesh kosher l'kriyas Megillah," and it puts something very halachic in over here, that the entire month of Adar is kosher, you're allowed to learn the Megillah. My time, what's the reason? The whole month turned into a time of happiness. And you know what the Shulchan Aruch says? Look it up right now. Siman Tafresh Pei Ches Sif Zayin. There's actually a siman that we skipped because it had to do with walled cities, and it wasn't as applicable. It says over there, if you look it up, someone who's going on a long trip and he's going across the seas and he won't find a kosher Megillah to take with him, he should lane even from the beginning of the month, the Shulchan Aruch says. So we see that the entire month has a certain aspect of Purim attached to it and happiness attached to it. If you look in the Be'er Halacha, he says that we only lane on Purim itself on the 14th. But anyways, nevertheless, this is certainly something to contend with. So we see from over here that what? That regarding happiness during the month of Adar, the entire month changed to good. And the truth is that the miracle of Purim happened in the merit of the month of Adar. Why? The Gemara Megillah on Yud Gimel Beis teaches us that there was a lottery that was casted. And it says that what? Once the lottery fell out on Adar, Haman was very happy. Oh, he said, look, it happened on the month that Moshe died, but he didn't realize that Moshe was also born then as well. So we see that the entire month is Mazel Tov, is good luck for Klal Yisrael. It's good for them. It's good for the Jews. Right? Moshe only died then because that's when he was born, and Hashem causes Tzaddikim to die on the same day that they're born, like the Marsha over there writes. Well-known idea. However, the Medrash Rabbah and Esther teaches us that what? That Haman wanted to make a lottery over there because he said every single month there's a merit that the Jews have. Every single time there's some sort of holiday involved. However, Adar, there's nothing except for Moshe's death. So therefore, he established his decrees on the month of Adar, but at the end, the entire month ended up being good. The Sefer Marechi Lev quotes that from the Medrash that through Al Yidei Shekitchu Mordechai, through Mordechai and the Jews sanctifying the entire month of Adar, it ended up being good. So the miracle of Purim happened in the merit that the entire month of Adar was sanctified and had a Mazel Tov. That is what is special about Adar. So now Accordingly, the entire month is a time of happiness. And we know the Gemara in Shabbos teaches us on Lamed, that the divine presence of Hashem will only dwell in a place where there is happiness. And therefore, we need to increase our happiness during this entire month in order that it will get fulfilled, the Hashem's presence dwelling. So the question is over here like this. Why is it that the month of Adar is a time of Hashem dwelling His divine presence on us? So this is a much longer idea, and listen to this beautiful insight over here. The Torah writes in Orach Chaim in Siman Tov Yud Zayin, he quotes his brother Rabbi Yechiel, who says that we know that the 12 months correspond to the 12 tribes. And the month of Adar, who does that correspond to? Which person? The answer is Yosef. Yosef had a special mazel. Yosef, that just like fish, and it's the month of fish, the mazel of fish. Just like fish, there's no ayin hara, there's no evil eye associated with fish. So too, Yosef is the same. Bein poris Yosef, bein poris ali ayin al tikri ali ayin ela oli ayin. The Gemara in Brachos also on Nun Hey Amud Beis discusses this concept as well. The Gemara, so take a look also at the Gemara on Chaf, that he's above the evil eye. The Gemara in Sanhedrin on Yud Beis Rosh Hashanah Zayin in Ma'avirin Ibor Hashanah Ella as Chodesh Adar. If there's a leap year, which month turns into 2 months? Which month gets leaped? Anyone know? Which month gets 2 months? Adar. You have Adar Rishon, Adar Sheni, not other months. The Rambam paskins this way as well in Hilchos Kiddush HaChodesh. And Tosfos in Maseches Sanhedrin says this is because the pasuk in the Megillah says, the Perek Gimel says, Chodesh Shnayim Asar Hu Chodesh Adar. And if you would leap one of the other months, it would not be good. The other would not be the 12th month. So the Kedushas Levi explains a beautiful idea. Al Torah at the end of Parshas Kisisa. He says, why is Adar the month that gets leaped and nothing else? You know why? Because the 12 tribes, like we just said, the 12 months correspond to the 12 tribes. Who is Adar? As we just said, Yosef, fish, no ayin hara. As we just said, Yosef had 2 tribes. How many tribes did he have? How many?
Menashe and Ephraim.
That's right, Menashe and Ephraim. And therefore,
Menashe and Ephraim.
That's right, Menashe and Ephraim. Therefore, there's 2 others. What's the idea over here? Menashe and Ephraim are considered like 2 tribes. As it says in Parshas Vayechi, Menashe and Ephraim, Kiruvim, V'Shimon Yeli. So we see that they're like 2 tribes. And therefore, you could have 2 others corresponding to those 2 extra tribes, so to say. The Baal HaTurim in Parshas Vayechi says, Menashe ve'Ephraim is the same gematria of Reuven and Shimon, which is the same pasuk, Menashe ve'Ephraim, Reuven ve'Shimon Yeli. That's why, what do we say, the bracha? Yisimecha Elokim ke'Ephraim u'Kenashe, that Hashem should make you like Ephraim and Menashe, we bless the children. Why don't we say that our children should be like the other avos, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov? After all, when we bless our girls, what do we say? That you should be like Sarah, Rachel, Rivka, Leah. So what are the avos? Chopped liver over here? What's going on? So one explanation is that no, Menashe and Ephraim have a very special attribute that they didn't see any Yeridas Hadoros, that the generation was going down at all. They didn't see any of that. And the reason is that what? The month of Adar has 2. Why? Because it corresponds to their father, Yosef. Something else to add on this point is that it says in Vayechi, B'ni heim asher nasan li Elokim bazeh. Yosef said to his children, Menashe and Ephraim, Zeh is gematria, like in that pasuk, 12. That's why 12 months. And what? And there are 2 months that correspond to Ephraim and Menashe. And that's why perhaps Purim and Adar is in the month of Adar Beis, which corresponds to Ephraim, because it says Vayisim es Ephraim, Lifnei Menashe. Ephraim was first. We could explain based on this that since the month of Adar corresponds to Yosef, therefore it's a time of Hashem resting His divine presence over here, as like Abba ve'adur benechem. What's the explanation? Yosef is the yesod of kedusha. Yosef represents, he demonstrates kedusha, holiness with the Jews. Sadik yesod olam. They have a shul over here, Yesod Yosef. It's named based on this. Since Yosef withstood the test with tremendous mesiras nefesh, self-sacrifice with the wife of Potiphar, who tried to tempt him to sin, so this rooted within all Jews, this koach, this strength of shmiras kedusha, of staying holy, of not falling into traps of these sorts of tests, with the Yetzer Hara, with the evil inclination. And that's why all of the Jews are called Zeresh Yosef, the children of Yosef. So during the month of Adar corresponds to Yosef, also has a special strength of strengthening this holiness with all Jews. The Sfas Emes teaches us this month corresponds to the tribe of Yosef, which has guarding Kedusha, holiness, Tahara, guarding purity, which brings to simcha. Explains the Sfas Emes, when someone guards himself and causes himself to be holier and more pure, that will bring to happiness. Conversely, when someone does not guard himself, when it comes to matters of holiness and pureness, and by the way, yes, we are talking about sites that a person shouldn't be looking at and sins with the opposite gender that a person should not be doing. When someone does that, it will not lead to true happiness, says the Sfas Emes. It will lead to sadness, depression. Based on this, we could explain that the yesod, that the foundation of Hashem dwelling His divine presence over here is through guarding oneself with holy matters. Like the Yalkut teaches us in Yeshaya, Kol hakovesh einav min haraya zoichu makabel pnei shechina. Whoever conquers his eyes from looking at something inappropriate that he shouldn't be looking at, someone that isn't dressed appropriately, or even if they are dressed appropriately and at least improper thoughts, you should not be looking at that. And this is brought down explicitly in the Torah and Shulchan Aruch and Siman Chaf Aleph. It's even prohibited to look at the clothing of a woman when she's not wearing it if it will lead to improper thoughts. Says the Yalkut, Zoichu makabel pnei shechina. He will merit that the divine presence of Hashem will come upon him. Only through being holy will we be zocho, we merit receiving the divine presence of Hashem. Chazal teach us that Yosef HaTzadik, he merited bringing down the Shechina, the divine presence of Hashem, to Egypt itself, to Mitzrayim. Because it was only through the koyach of the Kedusha, through the strength of holiness that Yosef had, was he able to bring a situation of the divine presence of Hashem dwelling even in a place which was incredibly impure, Egypt itself. The Eis Yosef explains in the Medrash Tanchuma, Sion, Zion, in Gematria of Yosef, is Yosef, same exact Gematria. Because through Yosef, meriting bringing the Shechina, the divine presence of Hashem, through Yosef bringing that divine presence over here, so the place for that is in the city of Sion, and you're going to be Zocha for Sion. So we see that that's why the month of Adar corresponds to Yosef, who is the pillar of holiness, the Amud HaKedusha, and therefore it's a time when the divine presence of Hashem will, in fact, dwell. Just to close up, this idea was something very important from a perspective of a halacha l'maisa. Mishnechnas Adar Marbin B'Simcha. As we just said, there's Hashras Hashchina, the divine presence of Hashem dwelling. There's a nafka min al halacha. We could come out with a practical manifestation in the halachic world based on this. Let's say it's a leap year. Does Mishnechnas Adar Marbin B'Simcha apply during both months of Adar or not? So you actually have a fundamental and fabulous argument between the poskim if happiness would apply, increasing happiness in both Adars or not. According to the Shilot and Tshuva, Shelis Yabeitz, that's Rav Yaakov Emdin, Chelik Beis and Simin Peiches, he says that on a leap year, the increased happiness is only on the second month of Adar, which is the main month, so to say, because Purim is then, and not in the first month. That's what the Yabeit says. Take a look in the Shilas and Shuvas, Shuva Ma'avan, Chelik Beisim, and Shin Aleph, who says this as well. He writes over there that Adar Sheni is a time of miracles, Yemei Nisan. That's when Purim happened. That's when the miracles happen. Also, Pesach is closer to the second Adar. And we want to juxtapose, we want to put next to each other, Mismach Geula Geula. The redemption of Purim, so to say, when we were saved from death to life, to the redemption of Egypt. However, The Sefer B'Shvili Haminog in the Shabbos and Moadim section, Chelik Beis on page Kufna and Vav says that no, some argue. Also, the Ma'ageli Tzedek on Maseches Megillah on Ov Chav Zayin. I did not have access to looking up that Sefer. He does not quote what he says, but and elaborates on what he says. But they, according to them, you do not need to increase your happiness on the first month of Adar. Should be pointed out, I did look at the Sefer due to the amazing technology of the Otra Chachma, the Bishvili HaMinuk, and he writes over there, and I wrote notes over here on the side, and he says, quoting the Sefer, Pirki Hashana Nechelik Aleph Pered Lamed Ches, that the Ramah Paskins in Siman Taf Reish Sadi Zayin, the Ramah rules that one should Sheyesh Laharbos Ksasa Seuda B'Yud Daled B'Adar Rishon. Even when there's two others, you should have a special meal on the 14th of Adar on the first month. That's called Purim Katan, the smaller Purim. In order to fulfill the opinion who are stringent and hold that you need to do this. What's the reason for this opinion? Because the Mishnah in Maseches Megillah and Vav Amud Beis teaches us Ein Bein Adar Rishon LaAdar Sheni Ela Kriyas Megillah Matanas Levyonim. The only difference between the first Adar and the second is what? Laning the Megillah, which is only done. We only read the Megillah on the second of Adar, and Matanas Levyonim, giving gifts to the poor and needy. It seems like Mashlach Manas you have to do and a Suda you have to do. Interestingly enough, that's another discussion of itself, but nevertheless, explains the Sefer Pirkei Hashana. That what? It's implied from this that regarding increasing happiness, one would need to increase happiness even on the first Adar. Comes out consequently, it's logical to say that even on the first Adar, you have to increase your happiness. Because they said Ein Bein, there's no difference, and that was not specified between the first Adar and the second. Comes Rabbi Karelinstein and ends his piece and says, according to what we just said, that the reason why we need to increase our happiness in the month of Adar is because this is a time when the divine presence of Hashem rests and dwells, and that is because the month of Adar corresponds to Yosef, Kedusha, happiness, divine presence of Hashem, no ayin hara, tahara, purity, holiness. So therefore, accordingly, the first month of Adar, one would need to increase his happiness as well, because this month also corresponds to Yosef. That's why this month has 2 months, Menashe and Ephraim, his children. It has nothing to do with it is a time of extra or not. It has to do with what we just said, based on other sources as well. Meaning, even the first of Adar, even if the month of Adar is 2, and the second month is the main month, the first month is only an additional happiness. Nevertheless, it's Adar. It still has the name of Adar. It's all one group together. It's all corresponds to Yosef, which is happiness, because when a person has the holiness, when he has the purity, he's going to bring happy. The divine presence of Hashem will come in. So therefore, that's why the happiness needs to be increased in both others. Any questions or comments on this piece?
The Matin Mama'tin B'Simcha, I thought that was brought down in the Shulchan Aruch, right?
The Adar isn't, though. When we get to Av, we'll have to talk about Av. But the Adar is only brought by the Magen Avraham, not the Rambam, not the Shulchan Aruch.
No, it's interesting because there it's brought, I guess, because of the 9 days or whatever. But
yeah.
But here it's not.
Yeah, not Adar, right?
That's an interesting. Yeah.
Okay, so let's